Hello, everybody. You're reading with Jimmy. We're reading William Shakespeare's Hamlet. We're reading and analyzing it at the same time. We're about to tackle Scene 3 of Act 1. A room in Polonius's house. Polonius, you will recall, is the father of Laertes and Ophelia, and he serves the king. And enter, oh, look at this, Laertes and Ophelia. Remember, we're watching a play. This is 400 years ago. No cell phones, no nothing. These are people acting and entertaining an audience. Laertes. My necessaries are embarked, farewell. Now remember in the last scene, right, he was asking permission to leave back to France. He wants to go back to France. He got Claudius' permission and Polonius' permission. My necessaries are embarked, farewell. My sister, as the winds give benefit and convey assistant and convoy is assistant. Do not sleep, but let me hear from you. Ophelia, do you doubt that? Laertes, for Hamlet and the trifling of his favor, hold it fashion and a toy in blood. A violet in the youth of primary nature, forward, not permanent, sweet, not lasting, the perfume of supplements in a minute, no more. What's he saying here? So a lot of characters here are using rhyming couplets, not that you need to know that, to finish thoughts and speeches in Hamlet. Okay, you don't need to know that, but Laertes is basically saying that, okay, Hamlet's got some spell over you, right? You're thinking, you better write me. I'm your brother. No more, but so. Think it no more. For nature present does not grow alone, enthuse and bulk, but as this temple waxes, the inward service of the mind and soul grows wide withal. Perhaps he loves you now. And now no soil nor cautel, which is what? Craftiness, skillful deceit, doth besmirch the virtue of his will. But you must fear. His greatness weighed. His will is not his own, for he himself is subject to his birth. He may not, as unvalued persons do, care for himself, for on such a choice depends the safety and health of his whole state. He's basically warning her, this guy's not his own master here, right? He's the top guy in Denmark. And therefore must his choice be circumscribed unto the voice and yielding of that body, wherefore he is the head. In other words, being the heir apparent to Denmark, right? He's got to do what the throne says he should do. And then if he says he loves you, it fits your wisdom so far to believe it, as he in his particular act and place may give his saying deed, which is no further than the main voice of Denmark goes withal. Then waited have lost your honor may sustain, if with too credent ear you list his songs, or you lose your heart, or your chaste treasure open to his unmasted impromptuity, right? In other words, if he weaves his little magic around you, you're gonna lose your virginity. Fear it, Ophelia, fear it, my dear sister, and keep you in the rear of your affection, out of the shot and danger of desire. The charious maid, the cautious, careful maid, is the prodigal enough, if she unmasks her beauty to the moon. Virtue itself scapes not clamorous strokes. The canker galls the infants of the spring, too oft before their buttons be disclosed. And if the morn and liquid dew of your youth, contagious blasphements are most imminent, be wary then. Its best safety lies in fear. Youth to itself rebels, though none else near. He's warning her. Don't give it up to Hamlet, because Hamlet is really the king's son, the dead king's son, Now his uncle is the king. He's next in line. He doesn't speak for himself. And he may tell you things, right? Now, did he already tell her things? We don't know. Ophelia says, I shall the effect of this good lesson keep. Okay, she's listening to her brother. As watchman to my heart. She's calling her brother the watchman to his heart. Okay. But good, my brother, do not, as some ungracious pastors do, show me the steep and thorny way to heaven, whilst like a puff and reckless libertine himself the primrose path of dalliance treads and reeks not his own reed. In other words, don't be like a pastor telling me, to practice what you preach. Oh, fear me not, Laertes says. I stayed too long, but here my father comes, and here comes Polonius. So this is a brother and sister. He's warning her, be careful of Hamlet. What's happening here? Well, we're hearing things of other characters talk about Hamlet. Remember, we've seen Hamlet. We just saw Hamlet. We don't know anything about him. We don't know anything about these other characters. The way they reveal themselves and their motivations is through dialogue. So we have to pay attention to this. But you see, it's getting easier and easier to read this. I put some notes here, right? Danger, right? Spending money and resources freely, prodigal, right? Cautious, wary, chariot maid, the most careful maid is prodigal enough. If she unmask her beauty to the calumnious, false and defamatory slander strokes. He's warning her that Hamlet may seduce her, right? That's what they're saying with words. We don't talk like that today, Jimmy. What's he talking about? Forget about the way we talk about today. Are you telling me that people don't seduce other people these days? Are you telling me that? That they don't use sweet words? That they don't do these things anymore? Of course they do. Now, this is a brother talking to his sister. He's leaving for France, and he's saying, just be careful, right? Be careful. Here comes Polonius, the father. A double blessing is a double grace. Occasion smiles upon a second leave. That's actually Laertes saying that. A double blessing is a double grace. Occasion smiles upon a second leave. Polonius. Yet here, Laertes? Abroad, for shame. The wind sits in the shoulder of your sail, and you're still stayed for there, my blessing with thee. In these few precepts in thy memory, see thou character. This whole section now is yellow. This is one of the most famous sections in the play. I want you to think of it carefully as I read it. This is a father's advice to his son. Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought his act. Be thou familiar, but not by any means vulgar. Those friends that thou hast, and their adoption tried, grapple them to thy soul with hoops of steel. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment of each new hatched, unfledged comrade. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in it, bear that the opposed may beware of thee. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy, but not expressed in fancy, rich not gaudy. For the apparel often proclaims the man, and they in France of the best rank and station are of the most select and generous chief in that. And neither a borrower nor a lender be. For loan often loses both itself and a friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. This above all, to thy own self be true. And if must follow as night and day, thou canst not then be false to any man. That's a lot in those days, right? But this was instructive. There's 10 things he's telling his son to beware of. Give thy thoughts. No, I'm not going to, read every one of these again and explain them, but give thy thoughts no tongue. Don't speak your mind. Don't tweet. If you were telling people, don't just tweet. Remember when Twitter first came out? People would get drunk and start tweeting, and then they got fired. Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought his act. Think things through. Think things through. Be thou familiar, but by no means vulgar. Be friendly, but don't be a vulgar. What does that mean? Don't slobber over people. Those friends that you have and their adoption tried, grapple them to thy soul with hoops of steel. Hold them close. Once you found a friend, why? Because friends are hard to find. And once you found the true friend, bring them to your heart with hoops of steel. What? Ladies and gentlemen, this is unbelievable advice. But do not dull thy pain with entertainment of each new hatched, unfledged comrade. Don't just look around and everybody's a friend. Beware of entry to a quarrel, but if you're in one, bear that the opposed may beware of thee. As Robert Duvall said in a movie, if you're going to hit a man, make sure you hit him so he doesn't get up. It's the same thing, only said in a different way. This is the advice of ages. Now, whether or not Laertes takes his advice, well, that remains to be seen, right? We're still in the first act. But this is beautiful, beautiful instructions. Would you agree with that? Farewell, my blessing seasons on thee. Laertes. Most humbly do I take my leave, Lord. Polonius. The time invites you to go. Your servants 10. Farewell, Ophelia. Remember well what I've told you. It's in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key. It's in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key. Ladies and gentlemen, well, I've had emails upon emails. Nobody talks like this. Nobody writes like this. And you know why? It's in my memory, and you have the key. What a great statement. Wish I wrote that. Wish you wrote that. You are in my memory, right? And I will keep the key. You have the key to my heart. Farewell. Polonius. What is it, Ophelia, he has said to you? Oh, please, something touching the Lord Hamlet. Well, Mary, bethought, 'tis told to me, he had very, very oft of late given private time to you and you yourself. Have your audience been most free and bounteous? And if it be so, put on me, and that in a way of caution, I must tell you, you do not understand yourself so clearly, and it behooves my daughter and your honor. What is between you? Give me the truth. Ophelia says, he hath my lord of late maybe made tenders of his affections to me. Polonius, affection? Pooh. You speak like a green girl, unsifted in such perilous circumstances. Do you believe his tenders, as you call them? I don't know, my lord. What should I think? Mary, I teach you, think yourself a baby, that you have taken these tenders, the true pay, which are not sterling. Tender yourself more dearly. Or, not to crack the wind of the poor phrase, ruining it thus, you'll tender me a fool. My lord hath inopportuned me with love in honorable fashion. Aye, fashion, you say. You go to it, Ophelia. And hath given countenance to his speech, my lord, with almost all of the holy vows of heaven. Polonius. I springs to catch woodcocks. I don't know when the blood burns, how prodigal the soul. Lends the tongue vows. These blazes, daughter, giving more light than heat, extinct in both, even in their promise, as it is a making, you must not take for fire. From this time be somewhat scanter of your maiden presence. Set your entreatments at a higher rate than a command to parley. For Lord Hamlet, believe as much of him, that he is young, and with a larger tether than he may walk, than may be able to give you in a few. Ophelia, do not believe his vows, for they are brokers, not of that dye which their investments show, but more, imperators of the holy suit, breathing like sacrifice of pious bawds. The better to beguile, this is for all. I would not, in plain terms, from this time forth, have you slander any moment leisure, right, as to give words or talk with the Lord Hamlet. Look to it, I charge you. You come, right, your ways. Ophelia, I shall obey, my lord. So he says, in Polonius, this is going to sooth, bequeath like a saying of pious bawds, right? Bawds, that's a woman in charge of a brothel. He's calling his daughter, don't be like a whore, right? Polonius supports his son, warning about Hamlet, and Ophelia agrees. His son's warning, right? His son's warning. And Ophelia agrees to do it. Don't encourage Hamlet. Stay away from Hamlet. Don't pay attention to what he's saying and things like that. And that's the end of scene 3. The joining of words that are really contrary or qualifying a noun with an there he goes again, the academic. Okay, you've been reading with Jimmy, right? This was, in fact, Act 3 of, Act 1, Scene 3, of Hamlet. I hope you're still with me. Are you still with me? Are you coming back for more? Because Laertes is gone now. He's going back to France. It's Ophelia here. The father's warning Ophelia against Hamlet. He's a little talkative guy, right? He's been paying attention to her, courting her. Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com. Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com. Thank you so much for listening. See you soon. Come on back. Scene 4 is coming up.